Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here. We will have an interview with myself and Mr. TC here shortly with his guy, Tommy Fleetwood. He's my guy too, but I just have not been as fully dedicated to the bit as Mr. TC has. Great interview with him. We do have some connection issues with Tommy. We will only have video if you're watching this on YouTube for the first 20 minutes or so. He was out at somewhere in the countryside, did not have a great reception. Ended up with no video on the back half of it, but the audio quality gets a little bit better throughout the course of the interview as well. So appreciate your patience on that one. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Rhoback. The Chris Polo subtle dog logo. Look how subtle this is. You can barely even see it on there. The most comfortable hoodies on the planet. I'm rocking the game day collection here. My Mountaineers have not looked great so far, but hey, I'm still rocking the gear. We've teamed up with Rhoback and Erin Hills to give you a shot at a bucket list golf experience. You and a friend will join two members of the NLU crew for an unforgettable round of championship golf at Erin Hills. Your prize includes a round of golf with us at Erin Hills, plus a one-night stay in Erin Hills world-class cottages, travel credit to get you there, and $1,000 in Rhoback gear to get you looking and feeling your best on the course. Just go to rhoback.com/NLU to enter. Takes 30 seconds. You might just end up teeing it up with a few of us at one of the top golf courses in the world while enjoying some of the best gear out there. Rhoback.com/NLU to enter. Let's get to our interview with Tommy Fleetwood. At what point did you see TC in Atlanta? Like, when, did you see him at all during the round of golf? He was claiming that he was trying to hide.
As soon as I saw TC, I acknowledged him and I fist pumped towards him, and hopefully he can back up my story there. You were
that was afterwards.
Yeah, I never saw you before that. I swear I never saw you before that. Yeah, you were at the back of the 18th green, and I had it was at the presentation. I turned around and I saw you there at the back of the 18th green, so it was cool.
What was your honest reaction when he flew over to England, though? I mean, for that one.
Oh, Hoylake. I mean, I thought I was going to win too, so it was like I was gutted actually. I mean, what a story! Like, I loved every little bit of that story, and yeah, I thought, it was one of those things where obviously I wasn't. I'm not going to say I went into it and I was like 100% certain of everything that was going to happen, but I felt good about it. I felt like I was playing well, and then I'd seen Tron come over. It was awesome. How good would that have been if we could have had the claret jug at the end of that? That would have been pretty epic.
Would have been epic, but also would have been, the story would have been different. We wouldn't have had Eastlake, right?
That's true.
I think it all made sense for a reason.
It all worked out in the end. I am a bit of a I actually don't know sort of what I believe in exactly, but I do believe that things happen for a reason, and like things work out for whatever which way, and pretty, I wouldn't change anything anyway.
So what you've won several times on the DP World Tour, but there's this, this narrative, the crooked media is drumming up this narrative about the fact that you haven't won on the PGA Tour and all that. So it's not like you're trying to win for the first time, but at what point did it ever become a thing to you to say, like, okay, all right, this has gone on long enough. Why haven't I won on the PGA Tour? When did it ever become a thing in your own head of like, okay, now why hasn't this happened for me?
Well, I never get too like high or low about like what the media says. I feel like I respect everything, and whatever I do read, I try not to read loads, obviously, because it's easy to be emotionally involved in what people say. But like I think it was a lot of the points were always going to be valid. I mean, I hadn't won on the PGA Tour, and yeah, I've won quite a few times. Whether it's the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, whatever it is, I still I would still say I feel like I could have won more, and I'm sure everybody feels like that, and I felt like I hadn't won my fair share. But the PGA Tour thing, yeah, I remember in Canada in 23. Was Canada 23 or 24? 23.
23.
Like that one, I stood on the last hole there. It's par 5 and it's an iron off the tee, and I made par on the last. A birdie would have won it, but and then Nick, we had an unbelievable playoff, and then Nick holds that putt, and I remember being on the plane there. I guess it was going to the US Open. I was dwelling on it a little bit, and I remember thinking about it then. But for me, I was like, legitimate chance at the time. Like, I've had a few, I've not had loads. It wasn't something that I sort of overly sort of worried about. Just because, sometimes it happens for you, sometimes it doesn't. And I was like, it's not like I've been there 20 times or 30 times and I can't do it. So I wasn't too worried then. And then I think this year was definitely the hardest just because of the positions that I did put myself in and it didn't happen. It wasn't that I ever doubted like it would happen or I made it like a story, but it definitely it builds. Of course it does. Because especially Travelers, I'd have put on 15 at the Travellers to have 14, sorry, to have a 3-shot lead. Keegan holding monster on 15, like a really cool moment, but still, he's held like a 40, 50 footer, and then everything that could have gone wrong down the last goes wrong. And then Memphis again, felt like I sort of moved into control of the tournament on the back 9, and then I couldn't do it. So it was more like just. Yeah, that was the toughest to deal with in terms of these times didn't happen. Going to be there again at some point. And I'm going to have to deal with a little bit more doubt that I've put in there just because those ones didn't finish off. But it's a long-winded answer to say I never made it more of a story than it was.
Did you learn something different from each one? Like from Travelers, what did you take specifically from Travelers versus what did you take from Memphis?
So both of them, I led the tournament from a certain part in the second round at some point, and I led the tournament all the way up until Travelers was the 71st hole, and Memphis was the 17th, maybe, so 70th hole. So both of those times, the first thing that I took away from it was how well I've played, how long I held the lead for, and it came down to those closing few holes. Travelers especially, I didn't feel like I did much wrong. I felt like I could have hit a couple of times where I left myself an awkward chip shot. And the two tournaments in my mind played out so similar. It was a little bit uncanny. If you look at the shots that I had to it on, so 16, I had a decent iron shot at Travelers over the back. And I look back and Jason Day hit a ridiculous chip shot from there that people don't realize how good it was from a similar spot. And I tried to play it lofted. I was a bit nervous, tried to go really lofted and soft, and it sort of ran away. 16 at Memphis, I hit it right at the green, tried to play it really lofted, really soft, it runs over the green. So both of those, very, very similar. In both of them, a shot, half a shot out, both times. And I felt like they were both just very similar. If I get myself in that position again, I think more that because there was sort of a little bit of doubt that creeped in and for how those tournaments had gone, it almost forced me to know that I had to be positive in those moments and commit to my shots. There was no other choice because I knew if I got there again, I'd probably be thinking about these two. These two have just happened very recently. It's kind of a big talking point, but it's going to force me to have the right mindset. And I think I just took that away from them, really. Both tournaments played out very similar. I never felt like I gave it away. I just felt like I'd, had a bad finish. And then the guys like Justin, JJ, Keegan, obviously they finished great as well. They didn't have to go on, Keegan might not have birdied the last at Travelers, or Justin might not have had the back 9 he did, things like that. So I took those things from it, really, and just knew that if I get there again, I'm just going to do everything I can to focus on the good and go out there and enjoy it.
That's better than the only time I've ever been worried about you, Tommy, was I think right after Canada in 23 was right to the U.S. Open. I think we talked that week, and you literally said to me, you're like, yeah, I was thinking about TC in the playoff, man. I just really wanted to do it for him. And at that moment, I was like, oh, no, what are we doing? No, that's not what you should be thinking about in a playoff.
Well, crazy things pop into your mind at different times, but yeah, I was I've been ready to get that win together for a long time now.
What was the moment at Eastlake? I know you got off to a great start on Sunday. You had a massive par save on 8. Mm-hmm. And that for me was a moment of all right, that putt goes in, that feels different. And then 9 was playing really tough, but that moment on 8 felt like, all right, this feels much different, especially after the early birdies you had as well. Did that feel different to you, or was it just, hey, that putt happened to go in and it was the same process?
No, I was very much in the process at the time, and then honestly, I actually started to feel worse than any of the other tournaments through that middle part of the round, because like the shots I hit on, like 5, I hit a really bad tee shot, and then 6, I played the hole pretty well, but 7, I know I hit a great bunker shot, but the tee shot wasn't like, it was all right. It wasn't that great. 8 was a terrible tee shot. And then 9, I hooked it off the tee, and I said like I hit a shot on an 11, and I could feel like swing doesn't feel very good. Like swing really doesn't feel good at this point, and like I felt worse at that point than in any time of any of the other tournaments, because I was like, oh man, like I can feel like my rhythm's gone, my tempo's gone. Like hit some shockers, and then I hit so like you stand on 11. 11's a really hard shot, and I hit the green. Swing felt not very good, and I was, so I was like, I need to sort this out. And I said after the tournament, I was really proud at how I managed to like sort of feel like I fixed my swing a little bit there. And then I played the next few holes great. And to be fair, like 16, I hit an iron shot in there. Ball was above my feet, and I hit a really nice iron shot. And I felt at that point, I was like, like visually, the door is just opening wider and wider at this point. But it wasn't until then that I really felt like this one looks like the one. This one looks like the one I'm going to get done. Like I felt, I almost felt worse than the other two at that point in the middle of the round.
Huh. Because like 10, Cantlay makes that putt, and then he puts it in the bunker on 11, and you hit a good shot. And then it felt like from 12 onward was like, all right, he's doing the right stuff. He's driving it in the fairway. And then 15 tee, you had a long. that was a pretty like that's such an outrageous tee box back there. And you'd gone in the water the day before. Was that the moment that
we were like, talking about laying up on Wednesday? Remember you and I on the putting? We were talking about how we scoped out laying up to the front tee box.
I know, and that was for the Creator Classic. So 15, like 15 is just not a great hole for me. Like I think it's probably a bit harsh, like the way it's been designed now, because I look back, I think if my shot carried a yard further, I'm going to pitch on that downslope that's just off the left side of the green, and that could go in the water, and I haven't really done anything wrong, and it's on the edge of being a bit harsh for me. But like the way that it sets up, like the tee aims left, and then the green goes like on angles to the right. Like it just doesn't set up nice. And like the day before, I just put a terrible swing on it the day before, and I was really disappointed that I just at least didn't just put a good swing on it or hit a good shot and deal with it from there. If it goes in the water and I felt like I'd done like, enough good things, you're sort of okay about it. But I was really disappointed that I hit the shot that I did, and it was, it was an awkward number. It was such a shocking number for me. Like, if I hit a 5 iron that was a bit strong, it's going to go, left and carry a bit further than where it did. If I hit a 6 iron that's kind of carrying just onto the green, well, if I miss it or if I push it, then that's in the water. So it was a really awkward number as well, and that's why we took quite a bit of time discussing it. I just I just wanted to get the right one and take my time. I think the easiest thing would be to rush. So even though like it was a long time on the tee, I just felt like we were talking through it and trying to get the right one. And then once we got it, I was fine. I just committed to the shot. I actually hit a nice shot. I think anywhere on land on that hole is a good golf shot. So that was always going to be a big hole. If I got off that, where when I hit land, like bogey's going to be fine. Like I was totally ready to, if I hit it in the water as well. Double wasn't disaster. I was still in a good position. It just wasn't as good as where I was. And then the next tee shots were really big. Like Patrick pulled it into the rough and had to chip out, and I hit the fairway. So yeah, that was like that and the second shot were big sort of decisive moments for me.
Because in that moment, we're all flashing back to is 18 fairway at Travelers, when looked like there was a lot of indecision on the club choice there, and I was just. Did you learn anything from that specific moment, right? Did you look back that night? Were you like, man, how did I land on that decision? Or was it the strike? Kind of take us back to that one, because a lot of people kind of called that moment out.
Yeah, I spoke to Bob Rotella about this afterwards, and he was really good about it, because so he told me that he didn't think, he wouldn't say that how I played that shot or anything, or how I went about it was indecisive. He said it was completely understandable. So I'm in between two shots. Like the wind is sort of across, moving across, moving into, moving across, moving into. I'm in between two clubs, and the first question like Finno asked me is like, how pumped up are you? Which is like, obviously a legitimate question. Like on Sunday in Atlanta, I was hitting the ball like miles, and like we just we judged it really well. I was hitting it so far with my irons, and yeah, stood in that fairway, and the one I picked originally, like I've got this swing, a hands to shoulders 9-9, whatever, which is slightly different flight. It goes a bit further than a normal wedge, and anyway, as I walked into it, again, the way that wind swirls and stuff, like Finno wasn't happy with it. It's fine, pull off, go to choose the wedge. But Bob Rotella said to me, when you stood in there, you made your decision, maybe you backed off it, but then you made another decision, which happens all the time, and you stood up and you committed to the golf shot, and it just wasn't the right one. But like it was, he made me feel really good about it, because he was like, if you'd have stood in there and put a bad swing and sort of felt like it was the wrong one, or you were indecisive, like over the shot and put a bad swing on it, that's a different story. But, got the decision wrong. And then I three-putted from there, like left it way short and didn't hit the greatest putt, didn't hit the worst putt, didn't go in. Keegan holds it, and that's that. Like I say, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But yeah, like you just, again, like when you fast forward to Atlanta, like you get like the 16th hole in Memphis, in between clubs, I had to fade it around sorry, not 16, 17. In between clubs, got to fade it around a tree from the middle of the fairway. I think there's like a little bit of mud on it, but again, like just it's funny how, again, such a crucial moment, I ended up choosing between two clubs. I would love to stand there and know that it was a definite, like, it's just a good 6-iron or something like that. But those things just kept popping up, and eventually I got it right. But both those times, like, I could have two-putted 18 at Travelers. I could have holed it. People have hole puts on me before from like long range. And 17, I could have got up and down and take it down the last. So those times didn't happen for me. But yeah, you learn from similar situations.
How often do you talk with Bob Rotella? And is that, was that something that you were seeking out specifically in relation to some of the close calls and where you were at mentally, or is this kind of just a normal check-in?
No, I mean, that one is, after Travelers, obviously that's a particular scenario that you're going to go through and talk about. I speak to him a lot, like I'm pretty sure he speaks to so many of the guys that he works with, like all the time. Like, I think he's an unbelievable human being for that. Like no matter what the tournament is, you'll always get just, even just a message saying, giving you those, and it's, majority of the time, it's always the same. It's always the same things. We know the mental process that we want. We know the attitude that we want, and it's just reminders. And then sometimes you want to speak to him a little bit longer. And throughout throughout the last few weeks, when I suppose you would say I've probably had to sort of be a little bit mentally stronger and a bit more resilient coming back from some losses or some close calls. Messaging would always stay the same with him. Always upbeat, always positive, doing so many of the right things, doing so many good things. Go out, enjoy being in the best mindset possible, enjoy being in your bubble, have a blast doing what you love, like all of those things. So all the messaging is, and all the stuff we talk about is very, very consistent. And then when something crops up like Travelers or Memphis, or even after a win, like Wentworth's coming up, we'll talk about that, and we'll just get back into that mental process of trying to, perform as best we can when that comes as well.
A break here to note, again, we will not have video, unfortunately, for the remainder of this podcast, but an excellent second half of this podcast that you're going to want to listen to as well. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at The Stack System. You can go to thestacksystem.com/NLU. You can use code NOLAYINGUP to get 10% off of a bundle on that website. I recently was boasting, if you will, on the most recent ad read, saying that I'd touched 121 miles an hour with driver in my backyard. Had some haters in there. I got a little video that might already be out by now, but a little video out there proving that I'm swinging the club actually faster than 121 miles an hour right now. In the training program, I was at 117, I think, when we started. It speaks to how much this product actually works. I do the training program on a regular basis. It's gamified. It's really fun. It schedules out when you should do the workouts. It tells you what weights to swing, how often to swing them. It tracks your progress, gives you encouraging messages throughout. And that's all to say There's a wedge system in there. There's a putting system in there. If you want to get better at golf, if you got a limited time to do it, the stacksystem.com/NLU, code no laying up for 10% off. I get so many DMs and so many great stories from people about how much they've enjoyed this product, and I really, truly believe in it. Stacksystem.com/NLU, code no laying up. Here's Tommy Fleetwood.
It seems like you really just in hearing, like, I think a lot of times it sounds like cliche almost from other people of, hey, I'm just going to get back on the horse and learn from this and work harder and everything. But even after your win, you said it was like, what are you going to do? You're like, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to start practicing again. Like, and it seems like you truly love the work, you love the process, and you love, it's not just the destination, it's the journey. And can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's such a refreshing refrain to hear versus, hey, I've reached the mountaintop, and you kind of look around and what else is there, versus it seems like you're just constantly trying to improve.
Yeah, because I mean, I do like to read a lot of stuff and listen to a lot of stuff, and I think that's probably a theme that I have jumped on in a way. I think that it's probably right, and I hear a lot of people talk about that, a lot of successful people, and I guess I've not reached as many mountaintops as most people, or a lot of people, or I wouldn't consider myself to have. So, if I guess the FedEx is one of them, and I still feel the same. So that's one thing. But I have plenty of things that I feel like I want to achieve still in the game. But also, I do love working at my game, and I know that there's times when you have a great tournament and feel unsatisfied, and there's times when you've not done as well and you feel like you've done like so many good things. So I always kind of use that as an analogy as well, and feeling. And I just get a lot out of trying to be try and improve every day, try and be the best golfer I can be at some point, whether I've reached my potential or not. I don't know. I definitely don't feel like I have. I'm enjoying, trying to get there, and I just think, this, like, it was a winning the Tour Championship or FedEx Cup or just winning for the first time on the PGA Tour. It felt great. Like it feels amazing, and I'm so glad that I've done it. But I did say, like, for me, it was never about just winning once. It was just that one time took so long, and it became like a big story. And in order to win like multiple times or plenty of times, had to win once. So that just felt like it was like that just came like really difficult in the end, or it took a long time. But yeah, I really just think, I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I enjoy practicing and playing like I did today. Like, I enjoy that. And at no point today was I thinking about, I wasn't thinking about Wentworth. I wasn't thinking about the Ryder Cup. I wasn't thinking about the Tour Championship. I was just like playing and practicing and assessing where I was today and tried to get better from it. And I like doing that.
What's a book or two that you've read lately that sticks out as, hey, this was genuinely impactful? Any recommendations on that front?
Been listening to some good podcasts actually, and I never know the name of podcasts I like, unless it's like, the ones that are like obvious, like a No Laying Up or something, like, and I find them and then I listen, and then I'm like, I just completely forget what the name of it was, but I'm like, oh, that was a really good podcast. What book have I read recently? I have actually, there was one that I was reading. So I was reading, so I actually read Into the Bear Trap recently. Do you remember Mark James, captain in the Ryder Cup at Brooklyn? This is nothing to do with like self-help books or like thingy, but like I read that book, and that was really, really good. And that's why my mind's gone blank, because that's like the last book that I read, and it was literally during the FedEx playoffs, and that's kind of taken over my mind. I've read these two, like it's a few books at the moment, and the words, I'm gonna have to go get it later for you, or I'll send you pictures of it. But it's
we believe you that
these
you
like
can read, Tommy.
these like no, they're these like Japanese books, and I never get the words right because they're based on a word and like simple living and stuff like that. And I've liked that. There's a good book called Breath. I think that was by a guy, because like James Nestor, I think it was. Like, it's just, book on breathing and stuff. Like, I liked that. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of rubbish now, actually. Truth is, I never read. I've never read anything. That's it. So,
dude, I did not know. I did not know that there was a Mark James book about Brookline. I've got to buy this immediately and read it. Sure enough, I just Googled like the description of it.
You've got to read it. It's really good.
In the description, it says that the people ran through Olafable's line, which again, the video does not support, but it's been this narrative for 25, 26 years now. And literally in the actual description of the book, it says Olafable still has a putt to keep the Ryder Cup alive, but several jubilant Americans have already run straight across his line, destroying his concentration in the process. That's my favorite. I got to read this immediately.
Tommy, what's been from a game perspective, your putting seems to be just like the floor is a lot higher. And we saw it in Memphis, we saw it at Eastlake. Like it just seems like your stroke, whether it's the mallet or your stroke itself or your green reading, like what's been the biggest change or transformation on that front?
Yeah, I mean, the putter has definitely had a big impact. Like after the Masters, I went onto the putting green at Hilton Head on Monday, and I felt like, so I never feel like my putting gets much credit, and I never feel like I'm as bad of a putter as like I sort of, and maybe I have that little like chip on my shoulder or narrative about it at times. Like there's times when obviously I've putted poorly, but I've also feel like I've had some really good seasons putting, and it goes unnoticed at times. But this year I was putting up at the start of the year, but I wasn't putting great. Like I was putting fine, and I just, after the Masters, while I didn't feel like I putted particularly well, I went to the putting green at Hilton Head on Monday, and Adrian and James were there from TaylorMade. So James is the TaylorMade putter guy, and I just said, you know what, I want to try a few different putters, and it's literally just for a different feel, like a different energy on the greens, because I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but something's just not clicking at the moment, and I just want to change that. I just want a different energy. So anyway, ended up with so that's what I ended up with. I ended up with the Black Spider, and we ended up drawing these lines on it because there was a particular putter that I liked, which had like some milling in the top, which made lining up, like it just made a really big thick line, and it made lining up easier. So I went and putted with that Hilton Head, putted really nice, and then just kind of kept putting well. And I think confidence has been really good. Like Memphis, B&W, like Eastlake felt really, really good on the greens. Like just felt really confident. I was reading them really well, and I think like I had a great routine to put in well. My pace, like one of the things that always working on with Phil and even Butch, like having conversations, wanting that pace to be as consistent as possible, and almost just being a bit more aggressive, really, like putting a bit more aggressively. And I feel like I've been doing that. But yeah, like it's definitely had a monumental improvement since moving to that Spider putter. But like I say, I feel like I have like putted well in the past, and sort of I always feel like it goes unnoticed at times. But yeah, like this year or this summer has definitely been the best I've putted by quite a way.
On the ride home, like you flew back to England, a few hours after Eastlake. I remember sitting in the clubhouse with Finno having a beer, and he's like, all right, we gotta go to the airport. And it was you and Rosie and I think Shane and all you guys were on the team, on the flight together. Was that a party, or was that just a total release of like, all right, I gotta just go to bed, I'm exhausted?
Yeah, I was like, by the time we'd done everything, I mean, I was like, I can't set off to the airport without showering. Like, there's no chance. So I had like a 2-minute shower, like threw some clothes on, and we got to the airport, checked in, went through. So there was Justin. So I actually randomly bumped into them just by mistake. Justin, Shane. Oh no, it wasn't Shane. It was Shane's caddy, Darren. Shane had gone to Florida. Of course, he had. Bob was there, and I sat down. I had one beer, got on the plane, and then I sat there, and I was like, I'm not moving anywhere. Like there was no party. Tried to sleep, didn't really sleep very well. I just excited to get home and see everyone, because Claire and Mo and Frankie had sort of had missed out on being there, and there was me and Oscar there, and I just wanted to get home and see everyone. So I was pretty tired at the end of it, and yeah, it was more of a just like soak in the moment, just relax, like take it in. It was really nice.
Well, I've managed to make it about 30 minutes without bringing up my favorite topic, which is the upcoming Ryder Cup, of course. I'm curious, with Europe's, we're recording this on Wednesday. Europe finalized their captain's picks this past Monday. It is almost the exact same team that we saw in Rome, just changing out adding in Erasmus, taking away a Nikolai. What do players have any input on who they'd like to be captain's picks? Are you guys involved in that process at all? Kind of that communication, that conversation? Does it get down to who you'd want to be paired with and matched up with? And I'm curious your kind of input, or how the captains communicate that with you guys.
No. Captain's picks literally are, captain's picks. That's the whole point of them, and that's what they are. But as players, you don't really. Yeah, you don't have any input in that. I think there's probably past Ryder Cups, or the captain and the vice captains will look at definite like certain relationships with players, or past Ryder Cups and partnerships and things like that. But no, like from a player's perspective, like no, I had no. You have no say, or nor do I want any say in any of the picks or anything like that.
There was a colleague of ours asked a question in your press conference during the Tour Championship about what captains have done to set you up for success. And you started to tell a story about why you were sent out in a specific spot in the singles order. And you kind of veered off and didn't finish the answer as to why. I think you were sent out 11th. Do I remember that right? And kind of what was the communication as to why that was? And I was curious your answer on that.
No, it was, I think what I said was, so I played 11 at Whistling Straits, and me and Jordan played together, and it just wasn't a great spot to be in for that one, because we struggled as a team. So then the Ryder Cup was done sort of early on in that singles. So then, like, for us being at the back, you have pride in your point, of course you do, and you want to play well, but it's a bit deflating then, being at the back, either deflating or or won the Ryder Cup. And then on the Saturday night, I think the singles draw hadn't come out yet, and I think it was I think I said it to Claire or something, and I said, I feel like I know where Luke's going to put me, and I don't really want to go there. Like, I played 11th last time. I've just got this feeling I'm going to go out like back end again, like 11, and she's like, why? I was like, well, if we start off great, like, Ryder Cup will be over, and I kind of, I'll want to celebrate at that point, or I won't be really that interested in my point, but then actually could come down to us at that, like, back there, and if it does, like, oh no, it's kind of a lot of, like, there's a lot of pressure at that point, like, it's not going how we want it to go, and like we were laughing about it in the team room, me, Shane, and Bob, about being at the back and stuff. But anyway, like I said that to Claire, I'd not said anything to anybody else really about it. Again, like that, and then the draw comes out 11th, and so anyway, like I really didn't mention it. I didn't really say anything about it, but Claire must have told Luke, because at the end of it all, or walking off the 17th, actually I didn't see anybody for ages. So like 16 was where we'd guaranteed the point, but then 17, I went and finished the match on 17, but everybody had gone pretty much. Like, I did an interview on the 17th hole where there's a crowd around. Now I turned around and there was like, we were just stuck on the 17th green and everybody had gone. Like, there was nobody there. So I didn't see anybody for ages. And when I did see Luke, he said, I wish I could remember the exact words, but he was like, are you happy that I put you out at number 11, or not too upset that you're at 11th now, or so, something like that. Like, it was a really good moment. And he probably said, the confidence he had in me to put me back there and stuff, and how it all worked out. So so that was a just a good example of like I say, like, you have ultimate trust in your captain, and it did work out in the end.
Tommy, do you prep for a Ryder Cup any differently than a individual stroke play golf tournament?
Well, the Ryder Cup is like the week of it is just so different to anything that we experience like week in,
But
week
even
out.
leading into the week, like prior to the week starting.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you practice on your game as you normally would. Like maybe think about the course because we'll know the course at that point in the week leading up to it, and think about that or what you might want to work on, certain holes or certain type of putts. But no, I don't really feel like I do anything that differently. I sort of I try and believe that you go in there and you try and everything about that week is trying to play your game, which is almost the hardest thing to do, right? Like in the circumstance, but play your game. And for me, like mentally, part of that is preparing the way that I would always prepare. Because when you get to the Ryder Cup, like there's none of that time is your own time. Like you're not on any, you don't have anything like that. You'll have a couple of sections, like little pockets of time where you can practice, but the rest of it is obviously so much going on in terms of practice rounds with the team, team meetings, media, dinners, like things like that. So you sort of have to be ready to, wherever your game is at going into the Ryder Cup, that's like what you want it to be in a pretty good spot and not be worrying about it. So I just think I practice how I would normally practice and go and try and play my game.
You've been a part of 2 triumphant teams at home in Europe. You've been a part of 1 road team that was not triumphant at Whistling Straits. What do you take from the Whistling Straits? Is that the experience you draw on? Like, are the home and away Ryder Cups 2 totally different experiences in terms of what it takes to win? And what do you take away from being on the losing side of one of these into the next one to say like, all right, well, this time around we need to do this differently?
Yeah, I still take away like Whistling Straits, for the result that we had. And I think, a lot of us in that team didn't feel like we did ourselves justice in the way that we played, or we didn't do Europe justice and we just couldn't play like we wanted to, but had the most unbelievable time. And what I did feel in that Ryder Cup was we were getting beat from the get-go, so we didn't really get out of the blocks. Obviously, in a away Ryder Cup, so support is not in your favour. How much we came together as a team, how much we drew on like whatever the good stuff was we could find in that week and the positives and half points, little moments, like times that we spent with the team, like we drew on all of those things, which were an unbelievable experience. And I've always said, I don't have a favourite Ryder Cup out of the 3. I've loved them all so much for different reasons in each one. And Whistling Straits was one of them. And yeah, it is a completely different, test. Like the home crowd, as it should, I think plays a big part in the Ryder Cup. And I think it should do that. That's part of what the dream is and the experience is, that you get to go into these scenarios that we don't get to do like week in, week out. Like the Ryder Cup's so special to us because, those home Ryder Cups, you get to experience it with that home crowd. They lift you on their shoulders. You ride their momentum when it's going well, and they can pick you up when it's going bad. And for an away Ryder Cup, you're obviously playing against those exact same things, but dreamt about playing Ryder Cups all our lives, and an away one is just exactly the same as that. Like you still dreamt about it. You still dreamt about that atmosphere. Does it get any bigger than New York as well? That's going to be amazing. And I'm really, really excited to go there and play this one.
Is it truly that much more intimidating? I guess, you're talking about the home crowd, you're riding their shoulders, into hitting good. I'm always curious, like, how does this translate into good golf shots or bad golf shots, right? Like, is it that much more intimidating to play in front of a crowd that's rooting against you? Is it the insults that are hurled at you? Is it I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't think it's an intimidating thing because like it's just not like as in I mean like it's not the intimidation factor that you worry about. I think it's more of the obviously the momentum that the crowd can create. Like you hit a great shot in a home Ryder Cup, it obviously gets an unbelievable reception, and you feel like you've hit a better shot than maybe you have. Hit some unbelievable shots in an away one, and it'll be a lot quieter. And I think things like that, I think I think that obviously plays a role in it. So momentum is like it's not a real thing, but it is a very real thing. Of course it is. And I think that's the best way to describe it. But you know, that's why you come together as a team and you use each other for that, and you enjoy that. And like I say, you enjoy that atmosphere. I think the crowd is always, the crowd love that they can get involved, I think, and that they can create those moments. And I think as a player, like, you love that as well, because it's so unique in our sport, and it's so unique to the Ryder Cup. And but yeah, they just play a big role in momentum, I think, and how it feels.
Tommy, looking ahead at next year, 2026 majors, you got Augusta, obviously, but then you've got Shinnecock, where you've played well. You've got Aronimink for the PGA, and then a home game for you at Birkdale. Do you put extra pressure on a place like Birkdale, and how do you approach that one? Or is it similar to how you approach the rest of them?
No, I would say I've been lucky. Like, I'm so lucky with where I grew up. And you look at, you know, I would consider an Open at Hoylake a home venue. I would, you know, and then there's Birkdale, which is literally my hometown. You know, if there was an Open at Lytham, that would be a home venue as well. Like, you've got these three places that are so close to where I grew up, and I'm so lucky and so blessed that I get to, you know, the event that I feel like I love the most or put on a pedestal. I get to play, you know, the odd one at home, and I think that's very, very special. And I think it's, you know, you have to deal with your own expectations and the hope that you have, because is there, again, you talk about dreams from being a kid, like, my God, standing on the 18th green at Birkdale, like, with a clout jug, it's like off the charts, like how that makes me feel. But so there's like controlling that side of it and managing that, but also it's a huge gift that you get to play in front of a home crowd, and you get to do that and play that tournament. The majority of people, you know, go their whole lives without being able to play an event that they would call like a home event, and let alone like have the chance to do it a few times, and it being literally in you know, my hometown, and it be the Open. So yeah, it's a very special time for me. I feel like I'm very lucky, and I think as I continue to sort of get experience in that situation, like Birkdale in 2017, I've played Hoylake twice now. I think knowing how important it is to enjoy it and embrace it and use it as a positive and use it as an advantage, because it is so crucial, because everybody's there and they just want, you know, they want the best for you, they want the world for you, and it's very, very lucky.
It seems like a great course fit for you too. Like,
I was gonna say, and that dream TC is gonna be by that green too, with that claret jug. I promise you that.
TC could be a, you know, South. We call it sand grounder. It would be. That's what people from Southport are called. So you'll be a adopted sand grounder for that week. Yeah, I haven't played it since the changes, actually. So I'm actually, if when I do get the chance, I'm looking forward to seeing like the new layout of Birkdale.
how do you, from a home perspective, like your coach lives in Vegas, you got a place in Dubai, like you play a lot of golf in the States. How do you manage just traveling all over the world and your blocks of time in different regions of the world?
Yeah, I just do it. You know, I'm always very aware that, you know, I never complain about the amount of travel I do. I'm always aware that I always have a choice. I could not travel, I could not play if that's really what I wanted or what we wanted. So yeah, we just manage it as best we can. Kids are obviously in school in Dubai, and that's where, you know, we've decided to base ourselves for the time being. I, you know, get over to Vegas as much as I can, which is, you know, a handful of times, a little bit more than that, throughout the year, and try and find those pockets. Playing on the PGA Tour a lot, so then, you know, you get these, like, the early part of the season. I think the schedules, I remember looking at schedule, and I haven't like delved into it much yet, but it's a bit different next year. So that's obviously the first thing I look at. I'm like, you know, how am I going to get home, or how am I going to structure it to get home? And then there's always like a big bulk in the middle of the year where I'm in America for a few weeks and playing tournaments, and I'll get 1 week off, but I'm not going to travel home for a week, and I have friends that I'll stay with and hang out. But it's always been fine. Like we've not had an issue with it yet. My family are very supportive, and yeah, we've just always made it work. And like I say, I'm always aware. I'm never going to be one of those that complain about travel or schedule, because if you didn't want to, you don't have to. Like, nobody's forcing you.
So you're looking for 3 to 4 week blocks, and then if you don't have at least 10 days, you're not going home.
Yeah, exactly. If possible, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks is perfect, and then you'd get 2 weeks at home and then travel back out again. And there has been, the last few years, there's always like a 7 or 8 week block that I'm out there, and if I manage to get family out there for one of those weeks, it's a bonus. Really, it's good if we can do that.
Awesome. Speaking of just managing your schedule, when are we doing our lefty match? And tell me about what do you?
Well, no, I have to improve a little bit, and before that, like, do you know what's really interesting about it is, like, what I'm trying to describe it as to people is like, so my right-handed golf is like my job, and I don't get time to like practice left-handed. It's not like I can throw everything at it. So pretty much anytime I do something left-handed, I'm just going to film it and video it. Like, I haven't hit balls for a while. Like, I've just played the playoffs and everything. I haven't hit shots left-handed for a little bit now. So I had a lesson. I did whatever, like hit some balls, but I'm just going to be back to square one when I do hit shots again. But like, everybody will see it. So
are you getting lessons from Butch left-handed, or are you?
No, I actually called me. So I'd done that video. So the lesson, the YouTube video that's just come out, I had a lesson with Michael Sweeney. He's like head of performance at TFA in Dubai, and he was really good. But I get this phone call off Butch, and he's like, "You're playing golf left-handed now." And I was like, just hear me out. He's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I don't get it. And I was like, "Well, just hear me out. It's just a bit of fun. It's just something I like wanted to do and everything." And then I sort of talked him through it a little bit, and then he will give me a lesson. I'm gonna have to get my left-handed set to Vegas, and he'll give me a lesson. So
I truly believe it's like, I think it helped my right-handed game a bunch. It balanced my body out. It helped my course management.
Yeah, well,
me,
we'll
like,
see that
be nicer to myself.
the first session that I did, and again, I filmed it, put it on there. Like, after half an hour or 20 minutes, my right ankle was on fire, like loading, like hitting through the shot into my right side. I was like, oh my god, like this is like, and I was like, I'll just power through it and stuff. But yeah, it's different, man. And the thing is, like, I've got no idea like what to do. Like, whatever I do right-handed, I can fix it. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to hit a perfect shot straight after it, but I can do something different. I've got no idea left-handed. I've got like just no idea, and it's kind
Have
of
you hit bunker
infuriating.
shots yet?
Yeah, I was all right out of a bunker.
Because bunker was the thing that for me that was.
You would just go there. You just be there for like a week. He would
Well,
knock it out.
I always say, whenever I'm trying to give lessons like in a bunker, I'm like, well, bunker plays like the easy bit because you don't hit the ball. Like, that's the one that's easy. And then I got in there left-handed. I was like, oh no. This doesn't feel good. But because
you feel that resistance, and it's totally because I've always been a good bunker player right-handed. I'm like, oh, like bunker play is easy, it's simple. And then I finally identified with higher handicaps of like, oh wait, no, it's not simple.
Yeah, it feels awful. Yeah.
Tommy, have you had a chance to meet with the new PGA Tour CEO, Brian Rhoback? I know he's been trying to meet with as many guys as possible. One, have you? And if you haven't, what are your biggest priorities? What's on your list of things to talk to him about of how he could improve the PGA Tour?
No, I've met him twice, but we've never never sat down and spoke, or never spoke over the phone. He was there at the Tour Championships and everything, and I think he seems like a really, really impressive guy. And I feel like without understanding details and without knowing any of that stuff, he seems like he's kind of hit the ground running, and he's saying the right things and all of that, and he sounds really good. Of course, I have an interest in what happens on the PGA Tour but I have no interest in making those decisions or saying or you know, coming up with those ideas. I just it's just never something that I felt like I've never had the mindset for it or like the mental capacity to like, you know, being somebody from you know, from England, from DP World Tour, you know, then I moved to Dubai. I love the fact that I can play on the PGA Tour, and I've always enjoyed. There's never been a time where I've not enjoyed like being at a PGA Tour event and getting the chance to play, like, you know, against all these best players. And like I obviously there's been changes, and it's been really good for us. The changes have been good for the guys that again, like very lucky. I've played, you know, almost all the elevated events. I've, you know, had that perfect schedule. I've had that. I've been able to play the majors and on all of that stuff. So it's easy for me to say, like, you know, it's all great. But, you know, I thought it was great before as well. So like whatever the changes have been, like, you know, again, I know I'm lucky and I've always been able to play where I want to play. But I don't know. Whatever the changes are, I will show up and I'll work and I'll play, and you know, I'll still enjoy like trying to enhance my career. But we'll see. I feel like the tour's in a really great spot, and like, yeah, we'll see.
Tommy, have you been to the new Everton Stadium yet?
Not since it's finished. No, I went when it was getting constructed, and then I was watching them play Brighton at home the morning of the Sunday Tour Champs and stuff, and then they played a League Cup game there. But no, I haven't been since it's been done and like since it's been full and everything. But everybody's like raving about this place. They say it's unbelievable.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Last one I got for you, Tommy. Who's the most interesting person you heard from after your win at the Tour Championship?
Oh, that's a tough one.
You can name a couple if you need to.
Well, no, like a lot of guys that, I mean, like sporting people that that, you know, people would be interested in, like, you know, Rafa Nadal, Michael Phelps, like obviously ton of like tour players that you know, which is really cool. I think the coolest thing is when your peers like text you and message you and say you know, and say congratulations and things like that. So many friends and stuff. I think, you know, what struck me was like just the amount of people that seem to just become invested in the story and me like winning that golf tournament. That took me aback, and that was like you know, the coolest thing for me was people from, like I say, people from as close to me as possible, like, but then throughout the world as well. And that was like by far and away the coolest thing for me, was just the amount of people that seemed to just become invested in that story and were so happy.
LeBron's tweeting about you. Yeah.
I mean, it's a reflection of how you treat people.
Because I didn't see any of that, but like LeBron, Tiger, Caitlin Clark, yeah, it was pretty good.
Cool. Well, hey, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Wishing you personally, from me, the best of luck at the upcoming Ryder Cup. Even if I'm not necessarily rooting for your team to be the victorious team.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll let you off that one.
So, I appreciate your time, but good catch up, and congrats on everything. We're really happy for you
guys. Thank you so much.